Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. AZ Trimester here. So recently I picked up an Arlen Ness Stage 1 Big Sucker air cleaner for the Slim, and I did a video installing it, but it was kind of lacked, in my opinion. I could have offered more, so some of you may have already seen the video, but I'm going to go ahead and take it down and do a more inclusive video today, and hopefully it'll be more helpful than the last. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is start by taking out this bolt right here. It's a 5/16 Allen. This will remove the cover. It's a single bolt, nothing to it. And there you have it. I'm going to set this somewhere safe. Okay, so now you get a look, if you haven't done this before, you get a look at your stock air cleaner, at least the internals. You can see how limited the airflow is here as far as getting into the air cleaner, and it's a pretty basic filter setup here. So next thing you're going to want to do is you can pull these. They just come right off. They're basically there so that when the crankcase breathes, and pushes that oil mist out, it's going back into the, it's being fed back to the throttle body. So yeah, and so what we're looking at here is a Torx T27. Yeah, and you just get these guys out. They're longer bolts, so you're going to have to thread them out a little bit, but not a big deal. And none of these bolts, I've been through this once before, so most of the stuff's already been taken off, but none of it the first time around was on there so tight that it required an immense amount of torque to get up loose. Pretty easy with basic hand tools. Alright, so here you can see now the opening to the throttle body. You've got your breather bolts. Those are going to be, if I recall, yep, 7/16. And you're going to need a little bit of a deeper socket on this, just because of the little guy on the end there. Alright, now these just had a light sort of Loctite on them, so they weren't too difficult to get out. Just thread them out so you can get this backing plate off, so we can remove our last piece and start putting on the aftermarket air cleaner. Alright. Alright, here we go. And we are good. There you have it. Very basic piece of the motorcycle, really easy to work with. Okay, so you're going to want to take off the throttle body bracket. You can see this zip tie piece here. That held this wiring. Like I said, I've already been through this. I zip tied this to the breather back here. It's out of the way. You guys can do whatever you need with it. I believe this is, well, my first guess was wrong. 3/16. Yep, it's a 3/16. All right. there you have it. Now the stock air cleaner is 100% off, so is the throttle body bracket, throttle body support bracket, and you're ready to start installing the aftermarket air cleaner. At this point, any air cleaner, but the one we're doing today is the Arlen Ness Stage 1 Big Sucker. Alright, and here that is, the Arlen Ness Stage 1 Big Sucker. I opted for the not so decorative cover because I'm going to have Dean Speed make one, cut one out and laser cut the Dean Speed Customs logo into it, and then I'll powder coat it gloss black, and then you'll be able to see the raw through it. It'll look really good. Here's all the bolts and everything, gaskets, whatnot. And I've got some blue Loctite. Also, for ease of installation, when you're putting in the O-rings, as you can see here, and then there, and there, what keeps them in place when you're putting everything together is a little bit of automotive grease. I have some. I'm not going to need it now since I've already got everything on there. I'll just kind of walk you guys through when to apply it. But it's super cheap. You can get it at any auto parts store. Alright, so the first thing we're going to want to do, you see this gasket here? It's already kind of stuck on there because I had this piece installed before, this little plastic guy. And it was kind of interesting because I didn't 100% know what it was for the first time around. But now that I've had the bike running with this, I can see that the oil comes out, and this is like a little catch tray. Also, without it, these holes would remain open, and that's unfiltered air. I know it's not a lot, but definitely something you want to be conscious of. So take these little guys, drop them in, and then you're just going to tighten it down on here. And if I'm correct, I think it is a 9/64. That it is. Alright, so there it is, it's installed. I also applied a little bit of blue Loctite to the threads. Blue Loctite is not going to ruin your day when you go to take this apart. It'll just keep everything intact while your Harley's shaking and rattling all over the place. See? So next, we're going to want to take these little breather guys here, because the bolts that hold it to the motorcycle are vented, and so that oil mist is going to pass through and into these, and then push it into the open part of the throttle body. So you just slide it in just like that. Here, I'll do this one here. They're little rubber pieces, so you got to kind of finagle them in, but there you go. Now your gasket here is what's going to separate and seal the backing plate and your throttle body. So it has a little indentation here because it has a specific way that it has to sit on here. So you got to figure that out before you start putting on the backing plate. Alright, so you got these three little bolts and your backing plate. Then you're going to figure out which way this gasket's supposed to go. So if this is how it fits on and this is how the plate goes, then your gasket's going to sit just like this. It also kind of keeps these little breather pieces in check. And so I'll drop these bolts through. And I'll just line up the gasket as I'm putting these bolts on. Now the instructions recommended to use that automotive grease and put the gasket on the throttle body, and then install all this so the gasket's there and kind of waiting for you. And that's fine too. I haven't done it that way, but I'm sure it works just fine. Alright, so this next set of bolts are 3/16. And you're going to want to go through and put blue Loctite on just the ends of these bolts. Nothing too messy. Alright, blue Loctite all set. Line everything up. And just start threading in just a little bit, one of them. When it starts grabbing, just give it a few turns and then find the next one, line it up. Same thing. And the last one. There it is. Just go through. Alright, now there is one thing that I skipped over that I should mention. And I pointed out earlier on these O-rings. They're on the back side here and on the inside here. So before you figure out that gasket and put the bolts in and blue Loctite and all that stuff, use that automotive grease and put these O-rings in their respective places, and they'll sit there just fine, snug, and then you can do all the other stuff. Okay, so next step is to take these breather bolts. As you can see, you got this hole right here. So when the case vents here into here, when the case vents through here, it's going to go out through this, which is where this little guy is. There's a hole on the inside here, and it'll push that oily mist back in. If you've ever had, well, I'll just put it this way. My Sportster 72, I put an air cleaner on there with breather bolts that had a mesh exterior piece, and it didn't go back into the air cleaner, and that shit was messy as hell. Old grungy bikes, it's cool. It certainly looked awesome, but it was messy, and I can't stand that. I'm too particular about having my bike clean. So I got a little bit of blue Loctite. Just to start threading it. Blue Loctite. There you go. So I think probably best practice is get these guys in and then go through and tighten up those three. Alright, nice and snug. I'm going to go back through, tighten these up again. Alright, and now we'll put on the filter and cover. So we got these longer bolts and your cover and your filter. So if you need to put the cover on the filter and then situate all this, or put the filter on first like I'm doing right now, either way, put a little bit of blue Loctite on these guys, because I don't have any intention of taking this off anytime soon. And I'm going to drop them in to the cover. And these should be, I think, 3/16, yeah. So the way I did it is I just kind of peered in here as I was putting the cover on, and just kind of rotated it until it all lined up. There we go. like that. Yeah, when you get to a certain point, it's just gonna bottom out. It's gonna stop. There it is. So now you're ready to go. There it is. So, if I recall correctly, I think that the diameter on this Arlen Ness air cleaner is about 3 inches narrower than the stock one. So, it shows off more of the engine. And I've ridden with this thing on already, and it's really cool when you open the throttle and you can hear this thing sucking up all the air. Really cool. If you're doing this air cleaner and you have slip-ons like I do, you're going to want to get a tuner. I already did a video on the Screaming Eagle Stage 1 Pro Street Tuner. If you have one, just watch that video and I'll help you run through it. And I'm going to do another video on the Smart Tune process. So, also if you need a quick schematic, if you ordered the air cleaner from, I don't know, maybe eBay or something, there you go. There's a quick breakdown on what it all looks like. Alright guys, well thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you've hung out this long, go ahead and like the video and hit the subscribe button. Like I said, next thing for this is the Smart Tune on the Screaming Eagle tuner, which should be pretty cool. It's a whole process where I have to ride with the thing on the bike, but I'm sure it'll prove worthwhile. So yeah, again, hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. I'll answer you right quick. But as always, stay safe out there.